what's up, everybody? Chrissy Zavacar here from Lions Nation Unite here in our new studio. Guys, what do you think of the new studio?
Fancy smancy.
It is very fancy. Herman's going to be joining us momentarily. We're going to talk about the combine. We're going to talk about all kinds of Lions news. We've got Josh Reynolds is re-signed, right?
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. So how would you guys go around the horn and just say hello and give a short bite as to what you feel like talking about today?
What up, folks? I'm on top, apparently, in the totem pole today. My name is Mike or Mike. If you don't know, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button. Also, subscribe to Lions Nation if you haven't done so. I'm going to talk about free agency. We're going to talk about Curtis Steele and everything King, as well as Anthony. We're going to get into it today. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. What up, though? It's your boy, Curtis Steele. You know me. I'm from Detroit Lions on the prowl, man. So happy to be here. Like my man Micro said, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. If you haven't downloaded the app, hit the App Store in the Android, Google, or Apple App Stores, and go ahead and get that Lions Nation Unite app, man. Join us. We have a bunch of fun over there, and we're going to talk about the combine, some of these signings, some of these trades, and, man, risking your career for a $1,500 bet. I don't know. We'll get on that later on as well. What you got, my man, Anthony?
What up, though? My name's Anthony. We're from over at Roar of the Lions UK. I cannot hype anywhere near as well as you Americans can, so forgive me for this one. But yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about the draft now. We're on the last leg now. We're in the Pro Day circuit. Really looking forward to getting down to it. Really looking forward to this talent acquisition phase that we're about to go through here with the Lions. So yeah, looking forward to it.
What's going on? It's your boy King, man. I'm ready to talk some free agency, some drafts, some trades, all type of things, man. Like I said, a lot going on over the last couple of days, so I'm excited to dig in and admire Herman Moore's shirt. I really love the shirt that he's wearing today. It's a beautiful color.
You laugh.
Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Come on now. I know you guys got jokes today, but I'll take it. Well, I'm Herman Moore, just here to hang out with the real gurus of football and those that give us the real insights. I'm just here to be a bystander and join in on the conversation, so I appreciate the love.
All right, so I want to start out with one of you guys. Just go right ahead and talk about what you guys want to talk about. The conversation was popping before we went live. You guys were talking about all kinds of different things. So, Mike, why don't you lead us off? What's on your mind today, top of mind?
Josh Reynolds, he got re-signed to the Detroit Lions, 2-year deal, $6 million a year. He adds a little bit of depth to the Lions wide receiver core, coming back with Jared Goff, a familiarity. So I think it's a nice way to start out. I did like him when he came to the Lions. The offense improved, and it was really nice to see. So, but, look, that was just the taste before the real free agency hits, but a good job by the Lions to get him under contract.
Yeah,
What did you
definitely.
think of Josh Reynolds last year?
I really like Josh. I thought he came in, and if you really look at the elevation that I thought this receiving unit got, because he came in and he started making plays right away. I thought that the fact that he gave another option on the outside, everyone knows that if you get combination of players, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he was starting to pick up, but they needed still someone who could go downfield and make that difference. They've had that in the past, and they didn't have it this time. And then when he came in, I thought it improved the confidence of the quarterback position because they had another target. So, you start to see that happen during the course of the season. So Josh was definitely a good addition.
Yeah, definitely. I said earlier, military guys, we know we have a thing called the whoopee. Your whoopee is your security blanket, right? And that's what I said. Josh Reynolds, the whoopee is back for JG in the building this year. He gave him a sense of security, a guy he can trust down the field, and it opened up the rest of the offense, along with, I can't say it was just Reynolds. It was the play calling of Ben Johnson and Dan Campbell combined with Josh Reynolds. He did make an impact. The way his trust with Jared Goff really opened up the offense, and I like the re-signing with him. He gives them another down the field target, and it's a comfort level that Jared Goff has with him that makes a difference on the field.
Yeah, I really like this re-signing as well. I think you're looking for, when your signings are coming in sort of the mid-season, you want them to come in, you want them to be able to contribute, and he was able to do that, as has already been said by the guys above. He's come in, he's played really well, he's given the offense another little dimension in there, and the most important thing is he's played really hard, and he's been rewarded. That's what you want to see. You want to see players come in here, really strive to play in that shirt, to produce on the pitch, and you want to see them get rewarded for that. So, yeah, I really like the deal.
Yeah, anytime you can get a chemistry guy for your quarterback, it's a good thing. Definitely looking forward to see how he pairs up. We watching this Allen Robinson thing, these reports that came out, possibility in free agency. Definitely got to add something to go with him and Amon-Ra St. Brown. So if we do get an Allen Robinson, I think it just helps everything for Jared Goff, make it a lot easier for him.
Herman, what do you think? Do you think it's more the familiarity with a player, or do you think that it was more technique that helped out with that relationship?
A lot of it's just the technique, but it's a familiarity. I think if you have the ability to establish chemistry, it goes a long way. When you have the ability to have communication, that is like key. We know how that works. If you're not aligned and you're not on the same page there, nothing works. So I thought that communication was strong throughout the year. And anytime there's a hiccup, you got to make sure people are just talking it through. A lot of times you see they part, and then all of a sudden things go off the rail. And I'm surprised, and you always look back at this team at being at where they ended up this year and having the number of losses and all of the things that were happening with the coaches and the play call and all this. And I still go back to it. This team will, I think, improve. How much will they improve? And how much can free agency and draft and all those things make a difference? There's still the development side. So it was really looking at how does this coaching staff perform and work together to decide whether or not they can move this team and elevate them to a different level beyond what we saw.
So welcome to everybody who's here. I see a lot of people are chatting. I really want to talk to you. We talked a little bit about the combine because you told me that you were watching it, and especially you were watching the quarterbacks and the receivers, and you had a lot to say about the combine. And I would love for you to talk about your thoughts regarding the combine drills and just what you saw from it and share it with our guys here who are live. And then I would love to hear them engage with that.
Well, I mean, put it like this. How many of you even watch the draft? I got away from it. I mean the combine. Yeah, the combine, not the draft. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah. And the reason why I mentioned that is because I started pulling away from the combine over the years because it was just like, really, what do you learn? Like I look at the guys, they have their pro days. You got some that come in and they do specific drills and they participate in certain things and they go and have different sidebars. So you have these incompletes across the board. There are those. The combine to me seems like it's for those who we haven't gotten a lot of film of. It's really a proving ground. Are you the right height? Is that weight? Can we, really validate the weight that your team is providing and that you're listed as your height? They check hand size, they check all these other pieces, but ultimately either you can play or you can't play. And then looking at the competition you're going against, you get a lot more out of like the Senior Bowl games. Sometimes when you're trying to get a look at some of the talent, but here's just a way to prove certain attributes of a player. But again, it cannot be the substitution. It is only a component and a key piece of the process of picking the right player.
King, did you watch the combine?
Absolutely. I only watch it for certain players. I don't watch the entire thing. Let's just be honest about it. I look for certain players that I think the Lions might have entrance in, and that's about it. Like I said, the combine it's an amplifier. My main thing is film. What shows up on the film is pretty much all I really care about. Big guy, 341 pounds, and Jordan Davis running a 40 at that speed is not something that I'm really interested in, to be honest. It's nice to see. It is nice to see. But 40 yards down the field, Jordan Davis is not the guy that I'm concerned about chasing somebody.
Right.
Doesn't it translate to a game, though?
No, but if I were to make one cut, he's off that trail. He's not running straight line anymore. So you don't worry about a guy running 340, but it was impressive to see some of that time.
Right.
And, one other thing I was going to add, and I don't know how this goes along with everyone else. When I'm watching it, you look for those surprise players and all that stuff, but it has become not commercialized. You look at the draft, and all that stuff. There are some things that happen there. They've taken it a little bit over the top. It's cool. It's a place to go out, have fun. They make it a draft week, and you have all these things. But then when you look at the combine, you're watching these guys go through these drills. You get a little bit of a look at what they're able to do. And if that's what you're judging by and you're the casual fan, yeah, you may be wild by 40 times and all that. And that guy could suck. I can't tell how many players I played with that ran really, really good 40s. And I could throw the ball at the wall and it may have a better chance of catching it than the guys who actually had hands. So I've seen how it works in both ways. So these numbers don't mean anything. And I always like when they show the players who didn't do well at the combine that went on to do well. It almost reminds me of the players who are in the smaller schools no one knows about, and then they come in and all of a sudden they make it an impression.
You want to hear my combine memories?
You
I attended the
what do
combine
you do?
multiple
You race Rich Ice?
No, well, first of all, no, that would have been fun. But no, so actually, I think we have one of the more interesting roles because we got to be in the media room. And that's actually, I think, more fun than watching the drills because you get to see how the guys respond to the different media questions. But probably the number one thing that you take from the combine is the horrible sandwiches that they try to make you eat. Like that's all they would give you were these horrible sandwiches. And since I was with the team, I got a special credential and I could walk over to a different part of the concourse where they sold fries. And I was the envy of everyone in the media room.
They did that again. Look, they sold sponsorship. How many of us looked and say, hey, come over, blindfold you, and you got to taste some of these different things? Really? Right. At the combine?
Right.
Wait, what?
You didn't see that?
No.
Hey, how many of you saw that? They actually say, hey, come over, here's some party dip, and here's some chips, and is this ketchup, is this mayonnaise, or is this mustard? And I'm like, man, anything to make a buck, huh? Okay.
Yeah, it's I think it's a fan event now. I think it's because you have fans in the stands. Actually, one of my co-hosts, Coach Mike, he's a season ticket holder. He got the invite. If he would have responded by a certain time, he would have got tickets to the combine to go to Indy. I think for me, the combine, I'm not really do I watch the individual skills like the 40s or the broad jump or the vertical? Yeah, I kind of take a gander at that, especially for the explosiveness of the vertical and maybe the broad jump. My thing is watching the on-field drills, right? That can give you a kind of just a window, not a big window, but a small window. Like looking at Kyle Hamilton, everybody, his 40 time was so slow. The dude's a safety. He a 4.5 for a safety is a decent time. That's average for an NFL safety.
For his size.
For his size, at 6'4" and 220 pounds, 4.5 is a decent time for 40. But I wanted to see how he moved on the field in the individual drills. How is his movement? Is he fluid? Is he getting in and out of his breaks? Is he stumbling? I saw a lot of those guys that were fast. They were struggling on the on-field drills. Kyle Hamilton looked smooth. He can flip his hips easy. He had great ball skills. Those are the things that I look for in the combine, especially in the skill positions. Like you said, you got a guys that can run off the field because they're so blazing fast, but they can't catch a 5-yard out. That doesn't help me at all. Doesn't help my team at all if you can't do that. So if you're looking at these guys, I'm looking at some of those things where how is it going to better? And I said some guys had a bad combine, and I'm like, they're going to be playing in the USFL here coming up in the next few weeks because they're not going to make the league.
I'll tell you what, you know what I took away from the combine? That I have bigger hands than Kenny Pickett.
Mike always never disappoints.
I couldn't believe it.
Oh,
Do you think Chris was there with his camera to take some pictures behind the
Oh
scenes?
yes, I talked to him on the side. He's definitely creeping.
oh my goodness.
Herman, what was your 40 time?
Now, I went and I did look up my time. I tried to go back, and for some reason, I didn't run at the combine, so they didn't list that. I ran a 4.43.
Okay.
It was a 4.43, but it was at University of Virginia when I had my pro day, and I ended up having, I think it was 23 or 24 of the teams at that time that came out for that, and they just stopped doing the vertical because after I touched the top of it, there was no reason to raise it up. I mean, I think I benched like 225, 20 times. It just doesn't show in my stats right now because they weren't recording at that time. But I'm just telling you. But you know what I do have? Now, a lot of you are into that NFT space. I actually found my tape from my college pro day at the University of Virginia.
An actual tape? Is it
Boom.
data?
I'm sorry. I've transferred it over to digital from its original form.
Beta?
Don't worry about what beta.
Beta back.
Yeah. and she's caught between that millennial and Z, and so she's trying to leverage that, but it doesn't matter. All I'm saying is, hey, how cool is that? Hey, I'm dropping some NFTs. Y'all know, you know what's coming. They're like, man, nobody cares about that, but I mean, I do.
I care deeply.
But let me just say this one thing, and you know, Kurt, you had mentioned this, and I think Mike, you may have said a little bit about it as well. But Steve Smith made a very interesting point. I don't know how many of you caught it. He was talking about the wide receivers. Some of them were struggling, and you could see some, they were just running 100 miles an hour, man. And you look at him, you go, wow, that guy has tremendous burst upfield. Look at how he's coming in and out of that break. But if you're not paying attention, when we look at a wide receiver, we go, okay, when you're running full speed, I tell you to run a 12-yard curl, do you start breaking down at 10 because you need to stop at 12? Can you stop at 11 and come out of it at 12 to 12 and a half? We look at how long does it take you to get in and out of that break and what's the distance. It doesn't matter how fast you get up there, because if I run under control and it's called game managed speed, I was looking to see which players were doing the drills and had advanced enough to say, will they actually run the drills based on how they would manage a game? Because it's smoother, you get there at the same time, you don't slip, your weight's in balance and everything's right. So it's just those little pieces from the mind of a scout that's going to be a little different than the casual fan, that some people go, wow, that guy looked really, really good. And I may say, you know what, that guy's going to be awful because he's telegraphing everything, or he's tipping his route, or he's taking too long to get in and out of his break or to stop because he's running too fast. And people wouldn't think as a wide receiver, there's a such thing as running the route too fast. So it's pretty cool.
You know that Steve O thinks you need to post your pro day video on YouTube.
No, man. Nope. hey, in this day and age, it is not free. That is an NFT. I'll let you know when I'm dropping it, and I'll make it affordable.
Any of you guys into NFTs?
I'm trying to learn about it.
I'm trying to learn.
Everybody thinks that's just like fathom money, and it's nothing because it's in the crypto world and all this stuff. No, it's cool. It's kind of cool because it's continuing to evolve into different things. And it started out where it was just kind of everybody and their mama was making them, and then they're dropping them, and then it's like a money grab. But some of them have pretty good utility. They give you access to really cool products. You get exclusivity to clubs. You got to hold an NFT for a certain period of time and all this other stuff. It's like a digital access pass to some things. So it's a lot that can go into it. I like it.
Our Hall of Fame fan, Banks, wants to know what's an NFT.
MB. Hey, we're gonna make sure we get I tell you what, let me get your name, image, and likeness rights. And then I'll tell you what an NFT is after you sign the contract.
Congrats to MB, man. He made that Hall of Fans, man.
Yeah, that's it, man. Let's give it up for MB, man. That's hey, that's awesome.
You had a very spirited video supporting him.
I had to do, everybody who knows MB, man, they know how he gets down.
Yeah.
You know, that boot up and how he's just got the energy. I go, man, this guy his dreams get tired.
I mean, you were fired up in front of your fireplace.
You know what I mean? He's only
fired up.
I know, because that's what he does. I mean, I've never seen somebody so just excited about everything. Now, MB, you know I got jokes.
He's very excited.
You know, when you got to go to the bathroom, do you get really excited when you go to the bathroom? What's that like? MB.
Okay, well, I'm ready for a spirited conversation.
Let's do it.
About Mr. Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, God.
Here we go.
Aaron Rodgers. I guess he went in and said, tell the man with the money, come pay me.
Yeah.
I mean, what? Okay, I want to ask you, though, as a former player, you have all of that back and forth with your organization, and then you stay. Can that possibly be good?
It's It's media. It's good. It's all for the. That was just good PR.
It was good PR.
That was good PR. It was the anticipation. It was the talking point. It was a way to apply pressure to the organization to get extra bucks because they knew they had to make, in order to keep him, they had to put their best foot forward. They had to put the best money on the table. They had to say, listen, we gave everything we could give and he chose not to stay versus something different. So I think that was, hey, here I am. Here's what I've done. You know, I got all these other teams interested. And, you know, I think you get a lot of the agents and people who are representing the players. I know how this works. They go out, they call teams and say, hey, we just need you to basically, it's almost like a letter of intent. Like you're in college. You want that school to know that other people are looking at you. So as long as you go get, 3, 4, 5 teams, make sure they're competitive teams, make sure they're the teams that if you're the piece to the pie and the puzzle and stuff like that, all you got to do is say you have interest. You have no intent of signing me, but you're just interested. And if you are, all of a sudden that gets back to the Packers. It's like, man, we gotta do something here.
All right. I'm looking at
$50 million a year.
I'm looking at the comments here. I want to know from the Lions fans on the line, if Aaron Rodgers was your quarterback, just pretend he's not your quarterback, but if your quarterback went through this whole thing and then came back, would you be supportive of your quarterback? Guys, would you be supportive of your quarterback if this all happened? Would you still love him, welcome him back?
Only if it's Aaron Rodgers. I mean, let's just be honest about it, man. When it comes from a football standpoint, it's just like, man, hey, listen, it's Aaron Rodgers. If it was Matthew Stafford, this city probably turned upside down.
Yep. We got yep from Kings. You good. Oh, wait, we got a hell no.
Super science. Good dude.
What about you, Mike? You got to have some kind of comment
I get
on that.
tired of Karen Rodgers. This guy, I enjoy him as much as I enjoy root canals.
How many have you had?
God, I feel like it's Brett Favre all over again. If he was a Detroit Lion, yeah, I'd accept him back because he's a great quarterback. But he's a Green Bay Packer, so I don't accept him. He needs to go away.
Are any of you members of the Detroit Rams? Speaking of Matthew Stafford.
Oh my goodness.
Oh God, this Detroit Rams stuff.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No.
We're not.
Stop cursing.
Yeah. The Rodgers thing, for me, I had to look at it from this standpoint. If I'm his teammate, how is it going to affect us going forward? You look at the salary cap implications. They had the franchise tag Devontae Adams. He's not going to get paid this year. As far as a contract, he's going to get that base salary for the 1 year. But how does that affect the team going forward? You look at what the potential deal could be. They're in cap hell right now. They're $30 million over the cap. So this potential coming back for him could have some long-term effects for the Green Bay Packers as far as keeping some good talent they have on that roster right now. There's going to be some exodus on from Lambeau because they can't afford to pay everybody.
Right. And what was it, 158 that was guaranteed? 158 million?
How does that make you feel?
How it makes me feel? Hey, you know what? The Lions better lock up. Where they at? I think somebody owed me some money. I don't care. You know how you can go back? We got to be able to have carryback. You know what I mean? Like right. Pain and suffering of seeing the contracts today. Think about this. I always tell people, listen, when I was playing with Barry, this guy had to hold out for $4 million a year. I think it was 4 years, 16 million or something like that. It was like a 4-year.
Barry?
Yeah, he had to not hold out but threaten to, and all the fans. Now you talked about a quarterback. Would you have him back with all that offseason drama and all this thing? I mean, some people did turn on Superman. All right, number 20, when he was trying to hold out and say, "Hey, I'm worth more money," and all these things. And I get it. I think the players should be well compensated. I think there should be enough, but it baffles me when we always have teams talking about salary cap problems. So I go, if you got a salary cap problem, that typically or should probably mean at some point you probably overpaid people.
Or you got a lot wrong.
So they're kind of synonymous. You can probably put them together. So I would think a lot of teams, get it wrong. And I look at the players and the teams that get it right, who are able to develop. I think developing players is one of the most underrated statistics or measuring sticks that they put on teams. If you want to look at a team and their ability to get through a bad season or get through a bad draft pick or free agent, are the ones who are able to say, hey, that didn't work out, but internally we were able to develop new players and we were able to take them beyond where they were, either through our system, through our coaching, through our setup, our combination of players and all these other things. And we don't hear about that enough. I don't even see where they measure that. Say who's best at doing that. Then I'm going to look at that team a little bit differently.
I tell you what, it's not the Lions.
I think it's a little bit different now, though. I think they're doing a lot of player development this last draft. I thought they did a fantastic job, and I think this up-and-coming draft will be big on that as well. Not just developing the players that you get in the draft, but we're developing coaches too. So hopefully it can change. That's what winning franchises do. You let some of these guys go, and you just redraft the players for the cheaper. So we shall see. But anybody that turned on Barry, man, that's a man. Get up out of here, bro.
Man, he turned on him because he said, "You know what, man? I'm tired. I'm ready to retire." So it's like you can't leave. So that's a good thing. Maybe fans are like, please don't leave. You can't leave because it's like you leaving somebody and you ready to go to a fight. I don't know, but I know a lot of people are a little upset. But you can't hate the players today for getting the big bucks, the money that they get. I'm just surprised at the guarantees that go with that. So when whoever's got to make that decision to pay those players, there's got to be a great deal of accountability beyond just the film. I got to be able to tell you the long-term ramifications of making that financial decision in the event things don't go right. Everybody can live with best case scenario. Everything goes well. I look at it like we look at business. It's like if things don't go right, where does that put us? And how does that help us or harm us in our future endeavors? And that's what I look at. But, this has been a very interesting offseason, as I'm sure all of you have been looking at, just from free agency to the draft to the shifts that's happening with a lot of these teams, and some of those that were uncertain who was going to go where. And I think that's still going to happen at a certain level because there's a lot of players that are still out there, and there's a lot of teams that are still have some needs. And then there are other players that are going to get released later that they strategically hold for a long period of time until after the draft. So this is going to be an interesting offseason.
All right. So I know that you four are some of our best who live and breathe the Lions. So I want you guys to each go through and tell me free agency draft, like what is your ideal for the Lions for them to come out of, the next couple months? What do you want to see from this team as far as, free agency draft? What's your ideal? Mike, go ahead. You start. You're at the top of the totem pole.
I'm at the top of the totem pole. Woo! I do like Marcus Williams, the safety, New Orleans Saints. I think he'd be a good addition to the Detroit Lions right there. Obviously, the familiarity with Dan Campbell. He's 25 years old. He is a playmaker, can get turnovers. I think if the Lions could sign him in free agency, that'd be fantastic. I think King talked about it earlier. Allen Robinson, that could be addition to the wide receiver core. And then just get depth players. When it comes to the NFL draft, do BPA, who if Aiden Hutchinson is not there at 1, you could look at Kyle Hamilton safety. I love that guy out of Notre Dame. Get another wide receiver, if QB 32 or 34. Get a linebacker as well. I think if the Lions could do that, you're setting yourself up pretty good.
Looking at this offseason, what do I want? I want to continue the youth movement in Detroit. Let's get younger, get some youth on the field, get better at positions, and kind of build this team through the draft. And you can add some key pieces later on in free agency. If you look at the two teams in the Super Bowl, people talk about all the big names they brought in via trade, but if you look at most of their base players were most of the guys that were on that roster were homegrown talent, draft picks, things of that nature. If you look at that secondary, besides Jalen Ramsey, all of those guys were drafted by the Rams. Cooper Kupp, Super Bowl MVP, drafted by the Rams. Aaron Donald, Superman out there in LA, drafted by the Rams. They have homegrown talent. That King said it. That's how winning teams build their team through the draft and add pieces on later on. So I think we're still in that build phase where we need to keep continuing to build through the draft, and we can add the bigger name pieces on later on. But you build that team through the draft, get some good chemistry, and and with player development, and you can have a good team with a good a base where you're not having to go and reach and overpay free agents out here in this market today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Kurt here on this one. I'd rather us build through the draft, through this offseason. I'm not really keen on this free agency market, especially now that the franchise tags have been put on. I'm not seeing very many people who are going to give us really value for money and are going to be here in the long term to, be part of this build. I'd rather us go to the draft, work prudently like we did last year, identify the players who have the culture and the work ethic and everything we need here. And then afterwards, don't forget, come June, players are going to start getting cut from teams when they're going to get on the salary cap. There are going to be players there. We found Charles Harris in that group last year. We've got undrafted free agency to go through as well. I mean, Jerry Jacobs is going to be here next year. AJ Parker's going to be here next year. Tommy Kramer is going to be here next year. He got a deal today. We can find the talent out there. And the number one thing is we just don't need to panic. I don't want to overpay a wide receiver here. I don't want to pay Marcus Williams potentially 15, 16 million a year when we can draft a guy who's potentially even better in the draft at 2. Just go for the draft first and then look afterwards at what you got. But build your homegrown guys first.
Yeah, I totally agree with Anthony. That is my roadmap. Don't go out and do anything and try to rush this thing. Take your time. Like I said, build this thing through the draft. Get rid of Trey Flowers.
Yes.
Get him out of here. I mean, let's just be honest about it, man. Nobody wants to see him in a Lions jersey this season, upcoming season. So get him out of here. But as far as free agency go, I'm not ready to press any buttons really, unless it's something that benefits us. I'm not trying to go out and spend a bunch of money, not this year at least. Go out, find some young guys in this draft that's going to contribute. Some Dan Campbell guys, as Dan Campbell said, he doesn't want any turds here. His exact
I hate
word.
that word so much.
Yeah.
I just want you to know that.
So, hopefully we get lucky. A guy like, Aiden Hutchinson does fall to number 2. But if not, I wouldn't have a problem moving back in the draft, taking another guy. Depends on what the, position the Lions want to go after. But yeah, like I said, take your time. Don't rush it. We got time to build this thing.
Okay. Well, Mike, I want to ask you, though, you talk about Kyle Hamilton. What do you think about the fact that 8 safeties have been drafted in the top 15 in the last, 30 years?
I really don't care. I don't care about precedent. I'm just taking the best player available, regardless of position, unless it's like a long snapper, a punter, a kicker, or something like that. But if this guy is what he's made out to be and Aiden Hutchinson is gone, I have no problem going that route. This guy is a massive playmaker. He is a big body in the back, and he's going to hit you very hard. We've had issues in the middle. He can stop those issues. We have not had an enforcer on defense since Ndamukong Suh. Now, he's a safety, so it's a little bit different, but we need a werewolf. He is a werewolf, so I don't care.
He was almost like too much of an enforcer at times, right?
We haven't had any identity on defense since Suh was gone.
I'm saying it's like having a bouncer at the club. It minimizes, it mitigates the number of times people are going to fight. So he was there. If you needed to start something, he was there. And if you needed a guy that was going to get ultra aggressive or inspire fear into the opponent, that he was going to do something dirty or do something that was going to, just get after them and be really overly physical, he provided that. So you could get hurried passes because they didn't want to find out what he was going to do. And that, can I ask a real quick question? So I'm interested in finding out from each one of you. We all know kind of what the Lions need and kind of the route they should go. I have a bold pick that if whoever that certain player is that we all think that the Lions should take in that number 2 slot, that player is gone. So now whoever it is you're thinking about is gone. What's the bold pick? Not, okay, I got to find someone like body, same size, same position, all that. The next person that's best in that position. What would be a really bold pick?
Malik Willis.
Be bold.
What'd you think? You
Yeah,
thought you liked
not
Malik
crazy.
Willis.
No,
How about Evan Neal or Ike Ekwonu?
Yeah, another tackle.
Then you'd trade Taylor. That'd be bold.
hey,
I'm
all
just saying that.
right. No,
I'm not in for it, but that's a bold move.
okay. Can I give one?
Long snapper?
No. That should ban that position. Listen, no, I'm just
Sorry,
kidding.
John Muehlbach, he didn't
No,
mean
no, he knows, man. I'm just kidding, man. I got jokes. Listen, what about a quarterback? Before anybody flies off the handle, would you look at a quarterback at that number 2 position?
Not in this
Just
draft
ask.
class.
No.
Not in this
No?
draft class. No.
No?
Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not that impressed with this class. I'm just not.
Not even we.
If they think he's the guy, I don't care.
No.
Okay.
If they think he's the
Who do you have in
guy,
mind?
Is there any precedent for drafting?
Who's your number
a
2?
quarterback?
Who's your number 2 behind Goff? Goff goes down. How do you feel about the number 2 compared to a
we
potential
don't
draft
have a number
pick?
2. We don't have anyone besides Goff on contract, and Tim
Never
Boyle's
had.
not
So-
even there. So
So
if they
here's the
went
question.
quarterback,
All
they go
right.
quarterback.
Right, exactly though. So there's my question. So if Goff goes down, which we all know in the NFL, that's possible. You go back and say, well, how many times did he pass last year? I don't care if you reduce that by 25%. That's how many times he's going to drop back. Each one of those is a chance that he gets rolled on, he gets hurt, he gets injured. You're number 2. So is your number 2 better than someone you could pick if whoever it is gone? You know, I'm sure they're looking at a handful of players. Would you take a risk at one of the 2 or 3 quarterbacks in this year's draft that could become your number 2 that starts to get a jump start on that position, which has been problematic for the Lions long term? Just a question.
For me, I have to say no. I would not take, because if I'm drafting a quarterback at number 2, that's my franchise quarterback. He's starting. That's just me. That's my thought process. I'm not taking a guy with all the money unless I'm trading Jared Goff. I'm not doing it.
Trey Lance went 3. He's been a backup.
But
I mean,
I've
he
looked
was
at the
always
success of some
mocked
teams.
high. He was
Yeah.
always mocked.
I mean,
very
even when
high.
you look at it though, with these quarterbacks, all these quarterbacks in this draft look like they're going to take some time.
They're
None of them
projects.
look like bona fide guys that's going to be able to step in. Even if Goff went down this season, the quarterback still wouldn't be ready.
With that said, everybody said Justin Herbert was a trash quarterback. Everybody said he was a bum. Everybody, even legacy media. Mel Kiper Jr. was the only one I heard that said this guy is going to be a good starter. He comes in, man, he looks real good.
Yeah, the only reason why I asked that question, and not to belabor the point, is I always look at where is this team most vulnerable, and I look and say, where could this team potentially put all the pieces in place and have one thing that can snag them? And granted, it doesn't mean. I look at the Stafford situation, and it's like, how long do you wait? You don't wait till the quarterback gets to the end, then go, let me go find the next star. You're starting over either way. I still go back to, it takes time for that young quarterback to be developed and make time to come through the NFL, period. It just is. Even if, I don't care if I'm working on his strength, his IQ, his on the field, his off the field IQ, looking at the other guy. He's learning from a veteran who's played it at the highest level. He's been to the biggest games. And you look at whether it was Favre and Rodgers, you start looking at, I saw the quarterbacks who were out in Minnesota, and it always seemed like they always had one guy that was like, either whether it was a real proven veteran who could step in and pick up the mantle right away, or someone they could develop along the way that had tremendous success long term. Then, oh my God, our house is on fire. I got to go find somebody now, today, tomorrow.
Do you feel like the NFL's gotten away from having that established veteran in the number 2 spot?
I just think that's your safety net. I got to hedge my season, not my bet, my season on making sure if I'm not going to do that, I got to have a reliable person. And I don't know why everyone thinks, okay, every time we get the backup guy comes in, everybody goes, well, who is that? across the board on every team, and then you pretty much discount that team. You start going, that team is done. Unless that quarterback just has that glaring moment, that shining moment, everybody goes, we got our next new quarterback, and there's a quarterback controversy. It doesn't happen. Like, whatever happened to developing that guy that is considered the most important position? Everyone tells me quarterback is the most important position. I think some teams would argue that, from some of the defensive side at this point, but I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
I mean, it's an opportunity to change the narrative here with the Detroit Lions, because we just never developed anybody but, behind our starting quarterback. That's just something that never happened. We never went and drafted a quarterback to go in and put pressure on guys like Matthew Stafford, or just be ready to play behind Matthew Stafford. We always go out and sign some bum. And that's just, like I said, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be angry. I just don't know who it is that we take at the number 2 pick.
Yeah, you can't. It's hard to label somebody a bust or trash before you even see him play a single snap. How many times have we seen quarterbacks come in the league where the media or whoever says this guy's going to suck? Josh Allen, one of them. Aaron Rodgers fell nearly out of the first round. It happens all the time. So if you feel this quarterback could be the guy, this could be the game changer, this guy can lead the franchise, it may not be this year, but in the upcoming years, would you pass that up? If you really believe that, if you believe that this is the guy, take him.
Yeah, I just look at them. They're going to be developing. Whoever it is in that second position is going to come in and always go, that person can get hurt. If it's a defensive end, how much does it change the dynamic versus a quarterback? How much? I mean, I don't know. I've been in this game long enough to know that there are certain positions, man, you got to have some.
Well, Herman, you did some, you were pretty tight with the quarterbacks, when you played. You have your position has something to do with them. So what do you think if you're looking at a quarterback, what are you looking for to see if this is a quality developmental player?
Well, one, I just see first and foremost if they have I won't say the attributes, meaning the height and size and speed and all that stuff. I think that's depending on the system. But you have to look at it and find out whether or not if they have the IQ that is required for that position. Do they have, and these are things that you do more on the talking point, because you've already seen them throw. You look at them throwing, you get them at the combine, like we've seen. That became kind of exciting to me, looking at the deep ball throw, just seeing the touch that some of these guys had on the end cut and some of those things. And granted, no one's coming after them when they're doing it, but I'm looking at it going, this is a position that allows you to kind of take your time with it. And you know that you have someone that you've picked that probably deserves, maybe you're picking them a little higher than they need to be picked, but you're going, hey, this person could potentially be that one that leads this other team down that path. And I played with a lot of them. I played with I played with 4 or 5 Heisman Trophy quarterbacks, right? And at that time, they were all, I won't say fizzled out, because I don't ever want to talk down. They're in the NFL. They're good players. But they were second and third string. And then it was the guy that no one knew about, who was actually the one they put in front. Then you had guys who came from Super Bowl championship teams that were just from one team to the next team, to the next team, to the next team. And I can't think of a time other than Matthew Stafford that the Lions have stuck with a quarterback. And long term, and you think about the ups and downs, even though Matthew Stafford was a high draft pick, and they'll say all day, man, this guy couldn't win anything here. He couldn't take us. He couldn't do this, this, and this. But how many of you actually said, you know what, but I know the guy has the ability. You felt better when he was at your quarterback position. And I'm just saying we need to make sure we got that guy. Many of you will go, you know what, if Jared Goff struggles, you're ready right now to pull him.
King, you ready?
Right? How often will we hear that? I guarantee you, if he comes out in the first part of the season and the first game, 2 games, 3 games, whatever, and it's not going at that level, and the Lions are not doing well, and that's one of the reasons in the offense, the first thing people are going to start talking about is the quarterback position. Said it first. I'm telling you.
That's facts. Hashtag facts on facts.
Yeah,
I've been here a long time, fellas.
I would say the quarterback position, though. The quarterback.
I'd never played with a guy longer than 2 years.
Quarterback gets too much. A lot of times the quarterback gets too much of the blame and too much of the glory. Same with the coaches.
Yes.
I think they're cut a little different these days. But I mean, that's neither here nor there. But I was just curious because that was my bold piece. I do believe that I like the fact that this is a team and a coaching staff that can develop talent. I like the fact that I've seen them take what didn't seem like a lot of pieces in the first part of this past season and actually make it work in spurts, but also solidify, I thought, a pretty good secondary and a good defensive unit that just constantly kept getting better and better and better. And then as they started to bring in and plug in little pieces here and there in the offense, and the line started getting healthier, I saw this team improve. So I just think as you keep adding those pieces, and they got to be young pieces, not those that are just kind of sitting in the background and I got this high-paid other player and until he fizzles out, then that other person gets their place. And then when they get there, they're either at their prime or past their prime or inexperienced. It just gets old after a while. So I'm just saying, at some point, be bold about it.
Okay. Well,
just don't pick another wide receiver in the first round.
Let me see. Yeah, man, goodness. I'll say this. I'll even get on board if the Lions did this. The guy that you want is not there at 2. I'll trade back. And I'll take a Malik Willis. I'll do that. I'll trade back and take a Malik Willis because there's a lot of edge rushers in this draft. It's a whole lot of them. So I wouldn't be upset if the Lions did do something like that.
Okay. No, I was gonna say I wanna close this out with, what do you think the Lions will actually do? Because because that always happens on draft day, right? Like there's the idea of, we've been talking this to death. This could happen or this could happen, and then something might come out that's just a complete left field. Or are they going to do something predictable? What do you think?
I'm going to go with predictable.
You think predictable?
Yeah, I think they have that 1 or 2 players, no matter what they're going to take. Only way they trade back is something crazy has happened with the first pick, and they see a lot of value and they can get a lot more. Because right now, I think they're looking at adding a lot of players. And I think they're looking at adding a lot of younger talent. They're actually looking to just do some upgrades. Only way you can do that is you got to have more picks.
Okay.
I think they select Kayvon Thibodeau at 2.
Okay.
I think that it's a possibility if a King ransom is available that they trade back, but I think they take Kyle Hamilton at 2.
Okay. Ant, what you got?
I think the same, really. I think they're going to do everything they can to trade the pick to get some extra pieces there. But if they're not and they're still at 2, I think they will take Kyle Hamilton. Don't forget, we have a future head coach in waiting. He's a DB's coach. Our defensive coordinator, Aubrey Pleasant, is a DB's coach. You give a guy with the ceiling that Hamilton has to those two, you're going to create something incredibly special with him. And this team needs incredibly special players. They really do. Forget the position. He's the guy. He's the best player in this draft. You take him. That has been Brad Holmes' thing, to take the best player available. And he is the best player.
I totally think that if Hutchinson does go 1, they automatically go Kyle Hamilton. Like I said, putting him back there, if you get Kyle Hamilton and Tracy Walker, like, come on, you know what I'm saying? That's nice. I think that's where they go, flat out. I don't think they're going to do anything drastic. I don't think they're going to trade the pick at all.
Yeah, and I think Dean Marlowe has already said he's leaving. I think he's already been informed that they're not going to bring him back because he's already said thank you, Detroit, on his social media. So I think that's what they're going to do. They're going to enforce that back of that defense. The safety room is pretty empty right now. Right now, the only player they have was Will Harris or a CJ Moore or somebody like that. But they don't have a lot of pieces in that back end of the secondary, and that'll be a game changing player. He is the best player available in this draft.
Herman, Raw Detroit says you're a man on fire.
Like Denzel Washington.
Hey, Raw Detroit, he knows his football, man. He's definitely a good scout. Y'all got to check him out.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I enjoy these conversations. I really, again, appreciate our all of you for your time. I appreciate all those that join us and participate in this platform, participate on this channel, because this is where I gain the knowledge. I love listening to the commentary. I love listening to the information that all of you give. And Chrissy does a fantastic job of making sure that she keeps us on point with a lot of that, but being a person that also has a lot of knowledge. So I learn a lot when I come here. You make me go back and look at players and situations that perhaps even I overlooked. And it's not to say that I should know more or see more, but it's broadened just my love and my enjoyment of the game beyond just what I used to see and have. So I want to say definitely to all of you and everyone who's on today, thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. And I look forward to doing this a lot more. This is good.
Well, before we sign off, I want to ask you, because it's been about 6 months since you launched Lions Nation Unite. So I would love to hear you talk about what you liked with the last 6 months, and then tell fans what they can expect, and go to lionsnationunite.com to download the app if you have not already.
It's been great. I didn't know what to expect. I've watched a lot of those who even on here, and they've given so many pointers, been so supportive of trying to figure out ways in which to improve and grow the platform. And that's what it's actually has done, and has represented everything I was hoping. And beyond that, what I'm hoping is having more touch points with our fan base, with their fans in their base. We want to continue to provide a platform that is supportive of their initiatives, both on air and off air, which would be off the field. And there are some really cool things that we're working on that I won't put out there just yet. We're coming down the stretch with it, that I think is going to bring everyone even closer to our platform, and also provide some interesting excitement that many of you are the creative people that you are, and I'll just leave it there. But I look forward to working with you both in front of the camera and off with some of these other initiatives that we have that we're pretty excited about. Yep.
All right. I love it.
It's all good.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. Thanks to all the fans for coming on and engaging as always. And we will keep our eyes peeled to see what the Lions do next.
Watch that second pick.
Watch that second pick. All right. Thanks, guys.
Shake ya.